Henry to read the clerk's open meeting statement for us, too.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes. So the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Okay, and Henry, also take roll for us, please.
Mayor Brian Smith?
Here.
Alderman Hackett?
Here.
Alderman Fensky?
Here.
Alderman Hagan?
Here.
Alderman Keelan?
Here.
Alderman Perchatsky?
Here.
Alderman Shambo? Alderman Mayo?
Here.
Alderman Lockwood?
Here.
Alderman Peterson?
Here.
Alderman Olson?
Here.
You have 8 present, you have a quorum.
Okay.
Or
9.
9. Why do it?
One message.
John, I didn't hear that you were here. I'm sorry. 9 present, you have a quorum. I'm off to a good start.
Well, people are keeping an eye on you.
I know. It's like, you got 3 men on base and you got to get one home.
Next up is the consent agenda. We actually only have a couple items on the consent agenda. We are looking for a motion to approve that consent agenda as printed.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Fensky, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, under the regular agenda, there's a couple of handouts that you have on your desk.
Yes, sir.
Henry?
Under 7 non-agenda items and announcements and correspondence, the proclamation declaring Manufacturing Month in the city of Waupaca was distributed. Under action items, outside agency budget request, information from the Waupaca Historical Society was distributed. And finally, under unfinished business, update on the Economic Development Strategic Plan, Brennan Kane has prepared a handout for that section of the agenda as well.
Okay, and then we have one additional handout, and I'm going to ask that we add this to the action items under the outside agencies. That's the Waupaca County Economic Development Corporation presentation that Dave Teal is going to give us tonight. Let's put that right at the end, right after Waupaca Municipal Airport. That's all right.
Sorry, I missed it.
That's okay. All right, anything else, members? If not, we need an approval of the agenda with those additional handouts.
Move we approve the agenda with the additional handouts.
Second.
Motion by Lockwood, second by Keelan, that we approve the regular agenda with the additional handouts. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Non-agenda items and announcements. We have a proclamation to read, and I will read that. This is a proclamation recognizing October 2013 as Manufacturing Month in the city of Waupaca. Whereas manufacturers are the backbone of Wisconsin's economy, employing nearly 450,000 Wisconsinites and contributing nearly $50 billion to Wisconsin's economic growth. And whereas manufacturing is a key driver of the Waupaca County and Waupaca area economy, comprising 30% of all county's wages paid and 24% of all employed people countywide. And whereas the average wage of a manufacturing job within Waupaca County is $48,500, which is almost $12,000 higher than the next highest paid sector, construction. And whereas the manufacturing in Wisconsin, our county and area has moved rapidly into the 21st century, developing cutting-edge technologies that keep Wisconsin businesses at the forefront of innovation. And whereas Wisconsin workforce, including those in Wisconsin's first in the nation apprenticeships program, continue to provide outstanding talent and many specialized in highly technical fields. and whereas the state of Wisconsin wholeheartedly committed to ensuring the Wisconsin manufacturers and workers can access the resources needed to thrive, including significant investment to support workforce and economic development efforts, and whereas the city of Waupaca intent and goal to access the resources referenced above to assist our area manufacturers in their continued goal of growing their businesses and creating private sector jobs. Now therefore, I, Brian Smith, Mayor, City of Waupaca, in conjunction with the state of Wisconsin's observance, do hereby proclaim October 2013 as Manufacturing Month throughout the city of Waupaca, and I commit this observance to all our citizens. And that was just read into the record. Okay, next then we have a something new for all of us, interactive presentation by the library. Peg.
Thank you. I will need a little assistance with setting up the projector, and you probably have to have the lights dimmed a bit.
Wrong one. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Yeah. I think it'll brighten up too.
So let me speak into the microphone and that'll help a little bit. So all of you realize now that we're celebrating 20 years on the square and 113 years of quality, and some might say excellent library service. So tonight, we're going to introduce a new technology. These are audience response technology granted to us by the Waupaca Library Foundation. And there you can see up on the screen that there's a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Those are the main ones we're going to be using tonight, so the ones at the top. And you'll just respond. So let's see how these clickers work. So the first question is, do you have a library card? Now you want to point your clicker at my computer rather than at the projector. And you can see the responses are going up. We can see how many people have responded. We have about 25 clickers out, so once we get too close to that number, we'll see what the responses are. Okay? If anybody has a clicker, please respond 1 for yes and 2 for no. And it's all anonymous. You're not assigned a clicker, so nobody's going to know if you say no. So let's see what we did with that. All right, 89% of you have library cards. For those of you who don't, I'll find you and get you a registration ticket. All right. So now we're gonna start looking way back, and we're gonna ask the question: what year was the old library built? Now your choices are 1, 1900, 2, 1913, 3, 1914, or 4, 1993. Okay, responses are coming in. All right, don't be shy. All right, let's see what we responded. Okay, if you guessed 1913, you were close, because the construction was approved in 1913, was actually completed in 1914. And look at that. A good number of you did say 1913. Good job. So 1913, 1914, we're just about there. All right. So when we're this old library, after about 75 years, it no longer fit the needs of the community. So they decided that they were going to plan for a new library. Which one of these was not an identified need when planning for a new library? Number 1, need more space for people and materials. Number 2, had limited access and safety concerns for safety citizens or handicapped. Or number 3, needed wiring for internet computers. Which one was not an identified need when planning for the new library? Okay, let's see what we, still polling. All right. Almost all answers are in. Let's see what we did. All right. So many of you did say need wiring for internet computers. And while it's true that there were some computers in the library when we moved, there was no real internet like we know it today. It was just just beginning to come into its own, and we got our first internet computers in about 1996 at the library. So let's look at what the needs were for the library. So there it is, need wiring. Okay, so let's look at a few pictures of the old library. There was inadequate office space. You would have books on the floor because they wouldn't fit on the shelf. There were no adequate places for reading, quiet reading. The staff were eating in the lunchroom, and there were only 19 chairs to sit in at the old library. So let's see what happened. So as a result of the new library, we had meeting room space, which we didn't have before. We gained 25,000 square feet is the footage of our new library space, and we only had 4,500 at the old library. We had 19 chairs at the old library. We have over 100 chairs for people to sit in, not including the meeting room chairs in our new library. And of course, we have space for materials. And even though those shelves looked pretty empty when we first moved in, we filled them up pretty quickly. So the number of items owned by our library in 1990 was about 35,000. And you can see that it almost tripled over the years, over the decades. And now that we had that space, we were going to find lots of things to do with it. So here's another question. Have you ever been to any exhibits at our library? Well, let's see what we responded here. All right, 85% of you have. And those of you who haven't, I recommend it. We have a great beer making exhibit that just started now, and they're going to have a program about it. So it's all about making beer. We just got finished with a great exhibit. Actually, the exhibit room provides 9 exhibits a year, and it's funded through the Library Foundation. In the year about 2001, believe it or not, with all this space, the children's department had run out of space for materials, and they started looking at maybe knocking down that wall between the exhibit room and the children's department. And they decided instead of doing that, we were going to have a planning process. So we went through a planning process, and we found out that the community sees us as a cultural center. So if we had knocked down that wall and taken over the space, it really wouldn't have been meeting the needs of the community. So let's ask another question. Have you ever been to another library that has a teen room? Maybe you haven't been to this library. Let's see. All right, let's see what our response. A couple more. Don't be shy. All right. So, very few of you have actually been to another library with a teen room. Now let's think about what this accomplishment means. In 1998, well, the Library Foundation built the first bestseller, and it was a room for teens that seemed to have all of the needs that they would ever have. Well, we had a new planning process, and as a result of that planning process, the teens said, we need more space, and it was identified as a need. In 2006, the teens helped build the new improved library bestseller, along with, of course, the city council, the taxpayers, and the other funders from the community. This teen room has actually been noted in national publications. We're known throughout the state as being a forerunner in teen services, so it's really something to be proud of. Well, let's ask another question. Have you ever met an author at the library? 1 for yes, 2 yes, and more than 1, or no? All right, let's see. All right. Not too many of you have met an author at our library. We've had 2 different book festivals, and we're planning another one in spring of 2015. So we hope that you come over and help us connect readers and writers. We also have a writers group that meets at our library. Now here's some pictures of our book festivals in the past. So do you think our new library has met those space needs that we identified in the old library? All right. There's 20. And 95% of you say yes. 5%, hey, I'd like to talk about that. I wonder what our space needs are that haven't been met. And definitely there's always room for improvement. All right, let's focus on another thing that was lacking in the old library, lack of access. There really was there were no elevators, and in order to access the old library, you had to go up a set of stairs and then go up or down, depending on whether you wanted to go to the adult department or the children's department. And there was very little parking, and there were no handicapped parking spaces. So let's look at what we have now. We're going to ask the question now, how did the new library meet the accessibility goals? Did they, 1, install 2 elevators and automatic doors? 2, meet ADA standards, American with Disabilities Act. 3, included 2 handicap parking spaces, or 4, all of the above. Another chance for you to weigh in. All right, let's see. All right, 85% of you said all of the above, and each one of those answers is, of course, correct. We did all of those things in order to increase access. But we didn't stop there. Does anybody know what this image means? Does it mean 1, caution, librarians are hard of hearing, or 2, a hearing loop is available? See if we have any comedians.
Jokester in every crowd.
All right. 19 responses. All right, let's see what you think. Okay, some of you do have a sense of humor there. Actually, this means that there's a hearing loop available, and our meeting groups are looped for people who have hearing aids. They can actually turn on their T-coil and hear everything that's being said into a microphone in their hearing aid. We also have hearing loops at all of our service desks, and this was granted to us through the LSTA grants. So a hearing loop is available. Now, in addition to having these goals for our new library, they also understood that there would be benefits of having a new library. Now, remember, they're planning this 2 decades ago, and one of their goals or benefits would be to have an efficient computerized library to meet today's library needs for information. So how many computers did this efficient computerized library have when it opened? All right, looks like all answers are in. 75% of you said 7, and that is correct. The number 47 is actually the number of computers that are available now for staff and patrons, which includes 18 internet computers in 3 departments, game computers, and of course we have Wi-Fi to help patrons connect with their own computers. Another benefit of having a new library was increased library space. And let's just take a look at this. All right, how many checkouts do you think there were in 1990? 70,000, 90,000, 111,000, or 4 million? All right. Almost all answers are in. All right. For 47% said 70,000. The answer is actually 111,000. So remember, this was without computers. This was all using cards that we did this counting, and we would have to count cards every day. So now we've really made big on this promise to have more use in our library. Let's look at the checkouts by the decade. If you look at 1990, 111,000. Then in 2000, we hit about 170,000. And then in 2010, we were over 300,000. So we tripled. So I think we really made that promise come true. All right. And of course, through InfoSoup, 1.5 million items are available. All right. Let's see. Another community benefit of having a new library was to provide additional services required by changing times. But did they have any idea how much the times would change? Do you have a Kindle, iPad, smartphone, or other mobile device? 20 responses are in. 90% of you said yes. I don't think we could even imagine. You know, when we think about the kinds of computers they talked about, even in 1990, they were huge desktop models. Nobody could even envision that you would hold a computer in the palm of your hand. All right. Have you ever downloaded free ebooks or audiobooks from the library? Yes, no, or I didn't even know it was possible. All right, let's see how that goes. Okay, 75% of you. This is an offer, actually something that we can offer to you. And if you need help with that, we can help you get hooked up. If you're one of those 90% that has a mobile device, you can download ebooks or audiobooks from the library. And it's not too complicated. We can help you do it. So now we have to ask the question, what does the future hold for the Waupaca Area Library? We thank all of the community for making this great library. And in the next couple of decades, we can't even foresee what our library is going to be like. But this next year, we are going to be going through a planning process to determine community needs, and we're going to need your help with that. So thank you for participating. I hope you liked the audience response technology. Short and sweet.
No.
My head's not even in the way anymore.
Maybe. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Peg. Not lost in it, of course, is congratulations to the library and to City Hall for their 20th anniversary in this building. It has been a huge improvement. Jeannie, maybe you could bring a presentation forward from the old City Hall to the new City Hall for us at the next month's meeting. Wouldn't take much, would it, to show it? All right, let's move into our action items then. We have, moving on our budget process, we have a request from, we requested the outside agencies to come in and make their presentation to us. And the first one up is the Gold Cross Ambulance Service. And Mark,
Yes. Yes. Thank
you
you.
would
Mr.
just
Mayor.
step up to the podium, please. Give your name and who you represent.
Hello, my name's Mark Fredrickson, and I'm with Gold Cross Ambulance Service. This is Jack Hill in the black here. I forgot to introduce him the last time that I was here. He's our executive director as well. And of course, I think you all know Barry Tamaris. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I was asked by Henry to put somewhat of a budget together for you all, which we did. We did kind of compare back with what Barry presented to you in the past, so it looked somewhat similar for you, and I'll kind of run through that. Before we touch on that, when we started the service in May, first, the transition has gone very well. In fact, it's exceeded our expectations. We've really been well received, we feel, within the community, and things have been going very well. We've had 233 emergency responses in Waupaca through the 911 center with a 5-minute and 14-second average response time. So we felt the response times are real good. But again, I want to thank you all, and we appreciate being able to provide the service. Are there any questions before I get into the budget piece here? Okay. Did everybody get 4 pages? I think Henry said everybody got it. On the first page, I'll just be very brief. Projected, our runs appear that they're going to be down this year for Gold Cross here. We are projecting out 2,075 runs. Next year, you will see how Barry had all the runs laid out for you. You'll have all that information next year when we have a year's worth of data for you. But for budget purposes for 2014, if you turn to the next page, you'll see the ambulance rates. Now the rates, the actual rates in 2013, you'll see them in the center column. We are proposing a 3% increase on ambulance rates for next year. When you look at your subsidy requirement, it is not going up compared to what you paid last year, so the subsidy requirement will remain the same. And if you go to the next page, we'll get right into the budget itself. As far as in 2014, we have budgeted for ambulance revenue $1,781,580. The subsidy requirement is $204,396. Our gross revenue will be $1,985,976. Our contractual and bad debt write-offs, this is a huge contractual business that we have here. $819,528 are dollars we will not collect. Net revenue then in the door is $1,166,448. With our expenses, $1,234,128 will leave for next year a negative $67,680. Now, our contractual write-offs were at 46%. You can see back, I think Barry had booked 48%. We're booking 46%, and the reason that we're doing that is we have an in-house billing, so we feel our collection will be a little bit better. At least we're hoping that's the case, and so that's how we come up with those numbers. When we look down, when you go to the next page, we're going to have, I'm just under the expenses, unless you want me to run through them all. There's really three things that jump out. When you look, under wages, the left-hand column was Waupaca Area Ambulance. That's what you've seen last year from them. The right-hand column is what Gold Cross is ours. And there's three things that really kind of jump out here. One is under healthcare and flex benefits. Barry had 46,000. We have 122,640. We have a cafeteria plan at Gold Cross, and what that really entails is that employees, we pay them $10,218 for health insurance, and what they can do is they have a cafeteria plan and they can purchase insurance, dental insurance, and those kind of things. So that right there alone is for 12 full-time employees. If you come down and you see where it's rent, there is not a rent charge. There was a rent charge of $62,400. There is not a charge in this budget, but there is an interest expense of $41,892. That's the interest off acquiring the business itself. And then depreciation is quite a bit higher. Depreciation was $51,000. It is now $95,532. So when we break this all down at the end of the year, we're looking at a negative $67,680. So your subsidy requirement will remain the same. We're looking at runs of 2,100 for this next year. We're hoping that, we're not hoping that people get sick, but, truthfully, the runs are down, and they're down all over. They're down in Appleton, Neenah, Menasha. Every area that we manage, runs have been down. So we're not quite sure if people are just not getting health care at this point or really what that is, but we believe that we are targeting 2,100 runs for next year within the service area, and that's really the nuts and bolts of this budget. Are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Anybody? If I can, the loss that you have,
Yes.
how do you make that up?
Well, some of it is, we will positive cash flow when we add back in depreciation. And, then we...
So you're not using depreciation as a way of buying additional equipment or anything like that?
Well, that's maybe a good question for Jack to answer, as far as on the depreciation side.
Well, it is, but in calculating cash flow, you add back depreciation to the mix, and that's where we come up with our positive cash flow.
Well, in a cash flow situation, you add back depreciation, but then you subtract off what the cost of equipment is. And I guess I'm just wondering what you plan on purchasing in equipment.
We did have in our budget with our board of purchasing a new unit, which we will do next year as well, as far as within our system. And I can talk a little bit more, I think, about some of that on the contract piece that we're on the agenda on as well.
Okay.
As far as some of the equipment.
Okay.
And how we're going to manage that.
All right.
Okay.
So our budget, the amount that we need to worry about for 2014 then is unchanged from 2013.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Very helpful. Okay, next we have Waupaca Historical Society, and that doesn't look like Dick Bidwell to me, so.
Not quite tall enough. Or I will have to use the microphone. Don't want to knock down any of this equipment. Yeah, I'm Bob Kessler. I'm treasurer of the Waupaca Historical Society. And again, I'd like to thank the city of Waupaca and the council for
Bob, if I can just interrupt you.
Sure.
You do have a handout on that one, people, that's not in your
Oh, good.
edited.
Does everybody have a copy of that?
part of it. Yes, we do.
Okay, good,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Again, I want to thank you for your past support. Actually, without the city's support, it would be very difficult to maintain our programs and even exist without that financial support. I found Peg's presentation very interesting, informative. I didn't know the Holly Center was built in 1914, so that was new to me. I knew it was relatively old, but I didn't know what year it was built. And I appreciated the pictures. I never was in the old library as such, so when I saw those pictures, I can relate to what the Holly Center is today. By the way, for your information also, we're celebrating our 60th year. The Historical Society was organized on April 27th, 1953. Our main goal, of course, is to keep our history alive. In very quick summary, I often say that the primary purpose is to preserve, disseminate, and educate the public about the history of Waupaca and its surrounding area. And, of course, we do that by maintaining and improving our existing historic buildings and preserving and restoring the railroad depot building, and developing historical programs and exhibits, acquiring historical documents and artifacts of significance to the Waupaca area. We support genealogical research, and we support community festivals such as the Strawberry Fest, July 4th Parade. Forgot about mention the book festivals. We participated in that, and of course this past weekend or so with the Fall-O-Rama. Now, all this is not possible without your support, and if you'll notice on the handout in the budget that we are requesting the $15,000 from the city is exactly the same amount that we have done in the past. And those financial figures, as you go down the revenues, disbursements, salaries, operating expenses, I'm not going to read all those good figures, but those are all based upon past experience. And those are the basic figures and dollar amounts that we need to operate. In the past couple of times it was suggested that we request some dollar amount from the surrounding townships, and we did that 2 years ago, and we got a response from one township, and they did donate a dollar amount. We did that again last year, and we got absolutely no response whatsoever. Not even a little note saying, sorry, we can't participate. We did, however, this past year, to help our financial situation, is that we promoted what we call the business partnership. And we sent out invitations and letters to the various businesses throughout the Waupaca area, and we did come up with 7 business partners and did raise a little over $1,000. Also, a very important part of our organization is for our visitors and our tourists. You might want to mention that in 2012, the Hutchinson House visitors, I got the figures for 2012, I haven't gone through the 2013 yet, but we had 70% of our visitors over there were from out of town, and that included 8 states, and it also included Italy and Norway. Also, very active part that's taking place today is our 4th grade tours. They were giving, several classes tours over at Hutchinson House today. Back in 2012, considering our visitors for the Holly Center, Hutchinson House, and the depot, we had a total of 465 visitors. And that included 12 states, China, and 145 other towns. And this past year, just this morning, I went through our register at the Holly Center. Since the first of the year there, we had a little over 186 visitors, 70 from out of town, and that included 9 states: Michigan, Florida, Texas, Illinois, Oregon, California, Virginia, South Dakota, Kansas, and Nebraska. As far as some of the activities, we had an old quilt activity back in March, and we had a nice attendance there, a nice presentation of all these old quits. It was interesting. If you have been up to the depot, we now have a caboose. I also, back in April, our depot was open as a rest area for the Quarry Trail, part of the Oaks March Walk. On August 17th, we had art on the square, along with art on the depot. This coming Saturday, I'm not familiar with it, but we're having a soup and art at the depot. And I guess basically that's it as far as our activities and some of the number of visitors that we've had during these past year. So are there any questions? All of you have the budget, our proposed budget for 2014 with a request for $15,000 from the city. Yes.
Your budget reflects 5,000 for hotel motel tax. You probably have that tied to a specific project that you're promoting?
Basically, yes. The project, what we have used with the hotel motel taxes help pay for the salary for our Hutchinson House curator. And plus, basically, we have to use it for some of the maintenance of the Hutchinson House and also some of the very basic daily operating expenses that we have. It's kind of hard really to a specific project, but it does help for such things as we had doing that quilt program, expenses along that nature.
Okay, any other questions? Obviously, the room tax request is a different meeting
Yes.
of the committee, but Bob's request is the $15,000. As he said, that was the actual amount that we put in our 2013 budget to help the Historical Society. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, next you have the Waupaca Area Fire District. You have Jeff Olson on there, but I am the Secretary Treasurer of the Fire District, and the commissioners have asked me to give you an update on that. As far as the assessment for 2014, you will see a slight increase to the city of about $1,700 over the year before, and that dollar amount is the total is $98,868.72. The reason that goes up is only because of the equalized value. The assessment is based on equalized value of not the land, but just the improvements within the city and all of the townships and the personal property, okay? And as equalized value changes, then equalized value changes in the city, but it also changes in the townships. And last year, if you remember, as we sat back and talked about this, actually our equalized value did not go up as much as the townships did, and so our increase actually, or our assessment actually went down in 2013. But that's not true in 2000. For this year, they actually used the 2013 equalized value, and ours did go up a little bit. The budget itself is about $5,000 more than it was last year. In 2013, the fire district used $14,540 worth of reserves. In this budget, they are proposing that they use $19,540 of reserves that they've built up. So again, the fire district is trying to understand the needs that we have, not only in the city, but also in the towns, and trying to use cash reserves and not increase the, although expenses have gone up, try to keep the assessment level. So again, the fire district is asking for an amount from the city of $98,868.72, and that is a $1,700 increase. from 2013. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's move on then to the Waupaca Regional Recycling and Compost Center. I see Ray Trice is here today.
Hello, Mayor Smith and council members. I believe you have the assessment listing. Is that what you, I was told you were given some information.
We do, yep.
Okay, so thank you for your consideration tonight. If you look at, I don't know how much you want me to talk about, but if you look at the bottom for the 2014 assessments, it will be $9.08 less than 2013, and the city's assessment will be the same as last year.
Okay, so, and again, from my understanding, we don't have the profit and loss in here on this and our projected budget for the recycling. But again, the recycling center is going to use reserves to keep the budget the same as it was for 2013. I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but I think it's about $11,000
Yeah, I don't,
in reserves that they're using.
but
So,
we're keeping it. Yeah, we want to keep it the same, so.
okay. Anybody have any questions of Mary? Mary is is a representative from the town of Waupaca, and she is the chairman of the Waupaca Regional Recycling and Compost Center. Anybody? Keep it the same or lower it, and we're all happy, isn't it?
Yeah. We're happy to. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, the Historic Preservation Commission, I'm assuming we have no requests?
We didn't come forward with any specific projects, so.
Okay. Again, that is,
$500 in 20.
It's for supplies.
as he asked,
And that's what it's been the last 4 years, and only $40.
okay. Well, let's find out from Scott, if you could, Gene, what he's asking. The Historic Preservation Commission is actually a city commission, and Scott Christie is the appointment chairman to that, and pretty small budget. The only time they add a larger budgeted amount is when they are in the process of buying plaques and so on for some of the historical sites in the community. And that hasn't been for a few years now. So we can assume that that's going to be at $500 again, unless we hear differently, which would be unchanged for 2013, from 2013. Okay, we have the Waupaca Municipal Airport. Pete Anderson.
Good evening.
Hey, Pete.
Just want to point out with the budget, it is the same dollar amount as last year. When you do look at it, I'd like to remind you again this year that 128,000 of that is for fuel sales, or purchases, I should say. So we will be recovering that money plus our profits that we get off of that fuel. Otherwise, we remain the same this year.
So Gene, how do we do, so the amount that we budget is the 269,118 minus the 138 in fuel sales? Did you say 138? I'm sorry.
It's 128.
128.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And there's also hangar rentals that come off.
Off of that too. Just so,
Yeah, because you'd actually pull off the lot leases and hangar rents.
so that's why we're looking at property tax amount of the $113,118. So the request actually then is for the $118,118, which is unchanged from 2013. Is that correct?
113.
$113,118. Is that what I said?
No.
That's what I meant. Okay.
We knew it.
All right. $113,118, and That is unchanged from 2013. Any questions of Pete? All right.
Thank you.
Pete.
Thank you.
All right, and then we have the one that we forgot, Waupaca County Economic Development Corporation, Dave Teal.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, yeah, I want to thank you for your past support of the corporation, and City Administrator Veliker provided you a handout, so I just tried to put together a little cost-benefit analysis for you and show you kind of what the budget looks like, as well as some return that you get for your investment. So the 2014 budget is not put together, but it will be very similar as far as the amounts being requested from the municipalities and the county. Those will be identical. So then it's just a matter of filling in with the fund balance and any administration fees that we're able to capture. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. I wasn't actually going to go into a lot of detail here unless you had questions.
Our assessment's based on population, and it's $1 per capita.
Yes, that's that asterisk there, the
Yeah.
first asterisk.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Thanks, Dave.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we are, we're looking for a motion, and it's up to you how you guys want to do this. We can do each one separately, but we do have requests from all of these separate entities, and we need to take some action on those. So do you want to take each one individually and take them all as a group? Okay, so we're,
Well, this is for the purpose of putting it into our 2014 budget.
yes, it is.
All right. It seems to me we'd be voting on it again then when the budget comes around. Is that correct?
Well, if we don't, what we're doing is that we're accepting these dollar amounts, and those amounts then would be unchanged as we go through the budget process. So you would not be voting on that part of the budget.
Okay.
I would make a motion to accept the outside agency budget requests in total as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Hagan and a second by Keelan that we approve of all the requests that were given to us. That included Gold Cross, Waupaca Historical Society. Let me do the numbers here. Gold Cross Ambulance Service, $78,520. Waupaca Historical Society, which is $15,000. Waupaca Area Fire District, which is $98,868.72. Waupaca Regional Recycling is $17,632.73. Historic Preservation Commission, we just put in the $500, as was the last few years. The Waupaca Municipal Airport, $113,118. And then the WCEDC is $6,070, right? Something like that.
$6,069, I think.
$69. Well, we might have one more person by then. All right. Okay.
Brennan moved into.
Yeah, there you go. Any other discussion? If not, we need a roll call vote on this.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Alan Keelan.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Deb Fensky.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Jillian Peterson.
Aye.
John Lockwood.
Aye.
Have 9 ayes, motion carries.
Okay. Next, then, we have a ambulance service agreement between the City of Waupaca and Gold Cross Ambulance Service. And I'm trying to find where that starts. You look on page 11 in your electronic packet that you have there, that's where it begins. Mark? Thank you, everybody that's in attendance. You certainly are welcome to stay if you'd like, but you can leave if you want to. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, again. You know, one of the things when we came out and we did the presentation with us acquiring Waupaca was in merging with them is that we felt that it was something that we should look at a contract and update it, and that's basically what you have in front of you here. John Anderson's our attorney out of Green Bay. He put this together. The reason I put draft on there is we'd like some feedback. If there are people that, you know, if there are things in here you don't like or you want things added or something like that, I would certainly welcome some feedback. This is the same agreement that we handed out with the townships as well. They got their hands on this about a week or so ago as well. So it's pretty standard. We do use this with some other outlying services that we manage. Kind of goes through, I don't know if you want me to go through this page by page or if you had an opportunity to take a look at it. You know, essentially what it's securing for you is that we're going to cover you with advanced cardiac life support coverage to your city, as well as, you know, we're going to do the townships as well. It talks a little bit about, you know, our workers' compensation, our insurance that we'll carry, the hold harmless clause, certificate standards. You know, it talks a little bit about our billing and our collections. Talks about mutual aid, which I think is important. You know, mutual aid is something that not only we provide, but maybe on occasion we would use it. Talks about how our compensation will be. Some yearly adjustments if there needs to be. One of the things that would happen is at this meeting is where we would more than likely be, you know, if the subsidy had to increase or decrease, we would be talking about that here with you. It has some miscellaneous stuff in here as far as legal stuff through the attorney. Notices, required reports. You know, one of the things I think is real important is that somebody from our agency gets in front of you folks here on at least on a quarterly basis. You know, one of the things, I went to the fire district meeting, and I thought that was a really good place to be because the city is there and the townships that we service are there. That's a good place, I think, to hand out information and documents. But again, I have no problems coming here as well and giving you that. But I think it's important you know how your ambulance service is doing as far as runs, response times, you know, those kind of issues we're going to share with you, and the financial side of the business as well. It has a termination clause in there. And you know, the governing laws, and so it's a fairly, you know, basic contract. You know, it goes into this year as far as it shows you under Exhibit A, it shows you the service coverage area. It also then individualizes you as Exhibit B with your population, your total subsidy amount, what your quarterly installment would be, and what your per capita is. But I also understand if this is the first time you've seen it and it's a draft, you know, I'm certainly looking for feedback. Now, the towns that we gave these to, I haven't gotten any feedback from. So I will be in recontact with them to see if I can take the draft off and you know, get the contract secured. But I'm certainly open to any feedback or discussion.
Well, we have had some time to look at this. We did get the packet on Friday. I don't know that we've gotten an opinion from our city attorney. You okay with it?
I reviewed this and discussed this with Henry about a week ago, and it appears that it's all in pretty good order. I don't see any reason to change anything. As long as you approve the money tonight, I guess that's in good shape.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? So, this is the first time that we've actually had a contract?
No, we had one.
Okay, I'm just wondering what's going on here. All right. So this is your contract versus
Yes.
what we used.
Yes.
What we used with Barry.
What you guys did is you approved us to take over Barry's contract through January of this year, and then we needed to secure our own contract with you.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, we do need a motion to approve this.
The motion, we approve the ambulance service agreement between the city of Waupaca and Gold Cross Ambulance Service
This is for 2014.
for 2014.
Steve, was that you?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Lockwood, second by Hackett, that we approve the ambulance service agreement with the City of Waupaca and Gold Cross Ambulance Service Incorporated for 2014. Any discussion? Anyone call the roll?
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Deb Fensky.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Alan Keelan.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Jillian Peterson.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
John Lockwood.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 absent. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get a clean copy over to you signed, and thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Mark, thank you for making yourself available. This has made the transition very good. Thanks, you guys. Okay, next we have, is this you, Pete? Service agreement with Advanced Disposal for Waupaca Municipal Airport?
Yeah, there should be a copy in the packet.
There is on
Okay.
page 22 of your electronic packet there.
Real good. What they're proposing to us is a 5-year contract. 2014 will be no increase from what we're paying now, and then 5% increase each year thereafter. But just want to say I did look at some other contracts that the city had for other pickups, and from the information I have, it looks like we're getting a pretty good buy out there at that price. Been very, very happy with the services. These guys always make sure that anything comes out of the container, that they pick it up, sweep it up, or anything they have to do. If I need additional stuff, another pickup out there, they're right on it. So service-wise, I've been very happy with them. And again, cost-wise, it looks like we're doing a little bit better than some of the contracts I looked at. One thing I might want to put in is I understand you might be looking at recontracting.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we're at with that, Pete. I know Russ was getting some prices, and I don't think I'm aware of this company. Where are they from? Advanced?
Well, that was a Viola, or however you say it
Viola,
before
okay.
that, and that's the new owners.
Okay.
I talked to Russ and got some of the pricing that we used. If it's going to make a difference, logic, where we're sitting versus the rest of their pickups, it might not make any difference if it's a single or not. I don't know if you'd want to wrap this in with the other ones for a better bid. That could be possible, I don't know.
So right now, the city does not have contracts. Am I correct?
We're in the process of getting new bids.
I think your last contract was just
The
ending
last
now.
discussion I had with John Edelbeck, and this was a while ago, he suggested that we not enter into contracts. So I'd like to get his information again on this before we move forward with this. I'm not sure what his reasoning behind it was, but again, I know I had that discussion, and I think Jeannie shook her head too, so she's also heard him say the same thing too. So if there's no urgency to this, I'd like to move this to the next meeting.
I think that'd be fine. When they had called me or contacted me about the contracts, I told them I'd have to go through the airport board and then you guys before any action could be taken, so.
Okay, unless you want to take action tonight, you certainly have that right.
I'm not necessarily, I don't really want to take action, but when I read this the other day and I saw that the rate would be fixed for 1 year and then 5% for next 4 years, which is 20%, I'm thinking that's a pretty good stiff increase.
I had the same reaction. Plus, I don't care for the auto renew on a policy like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that either with the 5-year auto renewal.
Right.
I'll offer a little feedback. Both of my businesses use this company, and this is pretty standard. You have a window where you can, in your 5th year, you have it's either a 3 or 6 months window where you can decline to renew. It's kind of fine print, and you have to really look it over pretty carefully, but it's pretty basic. So there is an opportunity to opt out. 5 years is I don't recall that I've been required to sign a contract that long. I think mine is 3, but it just doesn't automatically roll over without an opportunity to opt out of it after the contract is near expiring.
Anybody else? This is on the agenda for a motion, so would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we table it for further study.
Second.
We have a motion by Hackett and a second by Keelan that we table this and until we have further study, which I'm assuming then we will bring this back at our October 15th council meeting. Thanks,
Sounds
Steve.
good, thank you.
You probably need a vote on that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Point of order.
Minor.
A voice would be adequate, you think, on this?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? What age do you start having senior moments? Okay, award of the Runway Drive Sewer Extension Project. Obviously my age, yeah.
In John's absence, are you taking it, Brennan? Did he talk with you? No. I'm just getting back off vacation, so I'm kind of,
Self-explanatory.
I was a little bit involved in this project, so I guess I can take. We did receive bids in your packet. John Edelbeck has a memo. We got a lot of interest in this project, which was great. I think we had eight firms submitting. And the low bid is Advanced Construction, Green Bay, Wisconsin, for $57,760.50. The budgeted amount for the construction, when we established the preliminary resolution for the project, was $80,740, and then the total project costs were estimated about $95,000. So, assuming we have no major issues during construction, this is well under the estimate, which is real positive. I'm sure the landowners, being special assessed, will be happy to hear that as well. So the recommendation from our Public Works Department is to award the contract to Advanced Construction Green Bay for a cost of $57,760.50.
I'll make a motion, we award the Runway Drive Sanitary Sewer Extension Project to Advanced Construction in Green Bay, Wisconsin for no more than $57,760.50.
Second.
Chatsky. So you, Scott? Did you second it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Lockwood and a second by Prochatsky to approve this sewer extension project. Any discussion? If not, Henry will call the roll.
Deb Fensky.
Aye.
John Lockwood.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Alan Keelan.
Aye.
Jillian Peterson.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
We have 9 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 absent. Motion carries.
Should you make note somebody snuck in?
Oh.
Yeah,
What happens when two bodies have a meeting at the same time?
Okay, next we have a Public Works Facility Building Evaluation Contract with Keller. Again, this is John's request here. And we're looking at, I'm sorry, what's the total dollar amount?
$2,850. You remember, this is evaluating another facility within the city. And if you remember, we expended about $2,000 previously, and then council has asked for some additional evaluation. And this is the pricing they provided to evaluate and inspect and evaluate the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC systems.
Okay, and to Paul Mayo's point from the last meeting, is this going to be able to give us apple to apples comparison?
Yeah, I think they're making the same assumptions on the new construction, because there would be addition and the square footage renovation Square footage cost.
Okay, just for public knowledge then, of course, there are a couple of buildings that the city is looking at as possible public works facilities, and we have hired Keller to give us a comparison of what it would cost to bring those up to use for public works use. And we have already paid them $2,000 for this one building, and we've asked for some additional information on this building, and that's an additional amount of $2,850. So we're looking for a motion from council tonight to approve an additional $2,850.
I would so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayo, second by Keelan, that we approve this agreement with Keller in an amount not to exceed $2,850. Any discussion?
So this is only to look at the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. That's nothing more?
Well, those are the systems, I think they're most suspect. You know, it's an older building and we don't know, but there are going to be the renovation costs that are going to be comparable one to the each that you're evaluating. I think those must be the very critical pieces of the building. We really don't understand where they sit and what is salvageable, what's not.
I mean, and this will give you, I mean, just in brief, speaking on John last week, this will give you guys the apples to apples comparison. There will be some form of a layout done of the existing building to, give a space relationship similar to what you guys previously saw on the other building that was conducted. The price that was paid to Keller previously is the same amount. They're going to provide you guys the same services as before.
Looks like on here too, Paul, it does say above the phase 1 fee that does a plot plan design, floor plans, building elevations, cost estimate. So there's more than just those systems that are being looked at.
Now, there was additional square footage that was mentioned here also. Is that going to be in on the new square footage? In addition to the existing building, is that going to be worked into the plan also?
Yes, so you'll get an apples to apples comparison of what would be required for new construction as well.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Discussion?
I'm just going to ask a question because I really didn't understand when it says additional services may requested or required, and additional fees would be for all this. Well, there's about 20 things. Well, not quite. 2, 4, 6, 7. There's 14 additional things. Can this thing just keep growing on and on and on?
No, I can answer that question. In a scenario that the city is going through right now, you're literally going through I'll call it pre-design phase, which is what you're contracting with Keller tonight. If the city were to determine to go down the road with one of these two buildings that you're looking at currently, you would actually enter into a new contract, or you would actually get full construction documents done, and that would be a separate RFP that the city would have to issue and solicit firms to bid on that second phase. So those additional services you see there right now would be what you would receive maybe from Keller or from a different architectural firm in the future if the city were to go down that road. So what you are approving tonight is just the pre-construction or preliminary design phase that you would typically see.
I think they're promoting themselves, Steve, additionally beyond
They
what
sure
this
are.
contract is. That's basically what they're doing.
They are aware from speaking to John that there will be an RFP for full architectural services if the city does go down that road.
Okay. Thanks, Brennan.
One of the questions I have, I guess, that I wanted to know about is the difference in the longevity between these two facilities. Does anything in here address those points as to, perhaps how long those buildings would last us?
We could certainly bring that up, and I'll make mention of that to John when he does return from vacation, that is one of the items that we do want them to take a look at. There's definitely there are differences between the one facility you're looking at and this one. So we will factor in some form of I'll call it a 5-10 year maintenance plan that would probably be looked at for the two different types of facilities. But I will have that worked into that those numbers as well.
I guess even longer than 10 years, if you're looking out, looking out 25 or 30 years or even more, I'd like to know the cost basis between maintenance costs of the long term between those two buildings.
We will get that into those numbers for you as
I
well.
would appreciate that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Questions? Okay, we're approving this contract with Keller. If you vote aye for this, Henry will call the roll.
Alan Keelan.
Aye.
John Lockwood.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Deb Fensky.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Jillian Peterson. Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
And Steve Hackett.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes, 1 absent, motion carries.
Okay. Next, and nothing under new business, but we do have unfinished business. This is an update from Brennan on the economic development plan, and he did have a handout, so Brennan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'll keep this brief this evening, as there's 3 documents that I handed over to you guys this evening. The top sheet's kind of just a summary of why we're going through this process. So I'll let you guys read that at your leisure. The 2 things I do want to concentrate on this evening is, number 1, more of a visual graphic or clarification based upon what I had presented at the last meeting. I wanted to get in front of the council more of a schematic or an idea of where this plan and this initiative that we're undertaking is going to lead us, and the major components that we need to take care of. As you can see on the second page that's handed out, the remainder of 2013, we're going to kind of focus on just educational components to this. We're going to have a couple panel discussions, which I need to discuss with the council yet this evening. But really just take a look at what are goals, objectives, and action strategies, get a basic understanding of that, get a little bit more of a local, regional trend analysis, and have a panel discussion with a couple of representatives on what's currently happening, not only within Waupaca, but the region for economic development. Beginning in 2014, we're really going to start focusing on the goals and objectives that are citywide. That's more of the 30,000 perspective that we're going to be taking a look at. And from there, we'll actually define, this is on the economic strategic plan portion of it, we'll define the goals, work tasks, and performance measures associated with that. And then, as you can see, implementation will occur later 2014 and will continue in 2015 and 2016. Just a point of clarification, and there's that just because we're working on this plan does not mean that we are still not going to move forward with some, at least proactive initiatives right now until we have more clear definition of where we want to go with economic development and the programs that we want to establish here. Henry and I will still continue to meet with business owners and get an understanding of, their concerns and how we can foster new economic development within the city. With the economic strategic plan, I do have in your packet as well a sample plan that we're kind of looking at right now as an idea of, kind of this is from a large municipality, so I don't want to take it an apples to apples comparison, but at least it identifies some of the things that I previously had heard from the council about. We'll identify focus areas based upon an analysis that we'll work with the council on. Some goals that will come from there, but then also the performance measures and who's actually going to take on those tasks, and we'll have to define those as we move forward. So it's just an example that I wanted to get in front of the council this evening. Certainly I'm open for discussion later on if we want to take a little bit different approach, but I at least wanted to get one example in front of you guys this evening of what the strategic plan could at least look like, the end result later next year. You'll also see on the schedule that there's the comprehensive plan update, which will initiate in 2014 and will go through 2016. A majority of that's really going to be focusing on the neighborhood districts that I will be requesting the council to establish later this year yet. There's some planning and zoning initiatives that will be handled by the Plan Commission and the development staff, which includes myself and my department. And then there's a later initiative, which is more the marketing and branding in the community, that once the strategic plan and the comprehensive plan have been completed or near completion, we'll take a look at updating the city's website and development website and how we actually market the city as a whole, not only through economic development, but also through tourism as well. Back to the front sheet, I just want to get in front of you and I guess kind of get a consensus from the council this evening. Taking some assumptions here through the remainder of this year, the next council meeting, we're going to actually have a panel discussion with Eric Fall from East Central Wisconsin, David Teal, and Mike Colas from UW Extension, and we're kind of just going to go give a broad perspective of the current economic trends. In November, we're going to have a workshop discussion where we're going to bring in probably Eric and also Mike Colas to kind of give an overview of what our goals, objectives, and action strategies. At that time, we'll hand out the existing ones that were conducted back in 2006 by the City Council. And in December, we're going to I would like to have a workshop with the City Council to kind of establish the neighborhood districts, get the City Council's recommendations of how to actually break the city down. So that would at least guide staff in moving forward on which ones will have priorities, probably beginning with downtown and then moving to some of the other economic engines within the city. And then starting in January, in order to get the strategic plan started, we need the council to, I guess, accept a couple additional meetings. We need a couple hours, probably about 2 to 2.5 hours for the first 3 months of the year. We were targeting to have it as the second Tuesday of the month between council meetings, where we can actually meet with the council in more of a workshop fashion and actually break down the individual components and goals that we need to establish. The agenda or thought process would be that each goal would take about an hour, which we would review the existing ones and kind of go through a workshop scenario. The whole agenda hasn't been fully set yet, but more or less we're looking for the commitment this evening that the council can, I guess, accept 3 additional meetings, one in January, one in February, and one in March to go through the individual goals. From there, we can move forward with the rest of the strategic plan for the remainder of calendar 2014.
Okay. Comments? Anybody?
Be the second Tuesday.
Correct. The council meetings are typically the first and third Tuesday of each month, so we're looking to utilize the second Tuesday of each month.
On the library board, and that's just the day each month.
Peg, when is your, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what time is your meeting?
Meet at 5:30.
5:30, and you're usually done by?
6:30, 6:45.
So if we had it at, if you wanted to do it, then we should do it at 7 o'clock.
Or I guess, is there an alternative date or time that would work better for the council? I mean, we're looking at about 2.5 hours per session,
I don't think
which
we
does
wanna
include a
run those
break
on
in
the
there.
same
So
night as the council meetings, that's for sure. I mean, we just don't know what those council meetings lengths would be. We do have the option of the 4th Tuesday.
I could offer to have our library board meetings at 5 o'clock instead of 5:30. That would move things up. We could try and be finished by 6.
6 o'clock. Be all right? Yeah, we certainly don't want you to miss any of the library meetings, Julian, that's for sure, and we don't want to overlap any of our own meetings that we have. So, if that will work,
I'll offer it to the board.
okay, let us know, let Brennan know.
I appreciate the compromise if that's the route we're going to take. But if something changes, I'll bring it back to the council at the next meeting if we're going to have to decide on a different time and date.
Okay. All right, so a little bit of homework for all of us to get ready for these kinds of things, this discussion. Anything else? Anything else for the good of the meeting tonight?
Henry, do we have any budget meetings coming up soon? Our 14 budget?
I think we're going to present, I don't have the calendar. I think it's on the 15th.
15th.
Yeah, there isn't any.
Right.
The next meeting is not outside of our regular
isn't, okay.
schedule.
Right.
So we're good there.
It'll be in the regular.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a bargaining meeting with the police coming up.
Yeah, Thursday.
When's that?
Next Thursday.
Yeah, not this Thursday, but the following.
The 8th, I believe. No, not the 8th.
10th.
10th.
Yeah. Henry, maybe you could send out a budget calendar again to
Okay.
everybody, just to remind them of the
All right.
dates that are on there.
If it hasn't changed, Henry, I got one hanging on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one other thing, we're having, International Exchange Committee is having a meeting on Thursday here at 6 o'clock for anyone who might be interested in going to Japan with the Adult Travelers Group next year. So, 6 o'clock on Thursday here.
Okay.
And that would even be invited to you, Mayor.
It would be, huh? Thank you. Yeah. So this is an adult group besides the young adults
Correct.
that are going? Okay.
That's an initial meeting to determine when and how long we're going to be over there next year.
All right. Thank you. Paul, anybody else have anything?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Hagan, that we adjourn till our next regular scheduled meeting, which is October 15th at 6 PM, subject to call. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thanks, everybody, for attending and watching.